if my mother traveled with my father, I never liked that. But I think they were always very open with us, and my father always said that I'm a servant of the people and this is what I do, this is my job. So you at that time don't realize, you think it's your dad and that's his job and that's how it goes. But I know I used to hate my mother leaving. I think I didn't mind so much if my father left. But I hated it when my mother went off with him to travel or whatever, especially when he was foreign minister.
And then you had to go away to boarding school. How were days at boarding school, especially at the Murray Convent?
Oh, I hated the Murray. I mean, I wasn't happy there. My sister, of course, flourished there. Wherever she went, whatever she did, she was good. I think she was a good child, just happened to be. So she enjoyed her 2 years there, but I hated them.
And you were there at the same time?
Yeah, we were.
And so she must have been protective about you, or take care of you while you were there?
Yeah, well, it's in her book. The 65 war happened during that time, and I was so thrilled because I thought, wow, if the school emptied because everybody took their children home. And I thought, great, now we go home. But the tragedy was my parents said, the 7 hills of Murray and it's the safest place, so you all stay there. And I was like, what? But then later on my brothers also came, and my father was foreign minister in those days, so they had a little house in Murray, so then we were all together there.
And you said your sister flourished there. In what sense did she flourish there? She
did well at school and she was happy there, and she got on with the nuns, and
they were quite fond of her. And what were her hobbies like?
Well, I think in boarding you can't do very much, especially in those days, but she liked to read. I think my father and my aunt, my father's sister, my auntie Mumtaz, instilled in all of us this love of books, and we all used to love to read. She was pretty sporty. I remember when she was in convent in Karachi, she used to play netball, play squash with my brothers. So she was quite, she was good at everything.
I once heard a story where she lost a cricket game and she went off in a huff. Was she quite moody that way, or was it just
I don't think this is. Oh, I don't think that's true. She wasn't that much into cricket. I mean, I used to play cricket with my brothers, and I remember her once playing. In fact, I have a picture, I think, of all of us together. But she was more team sports, like with school. Like they would compete with other girls' schools. So I think even with the girls in grammar school.
And what kind of food did she like?
What kind of food? My sister liked the dessert first, and then the starter, and then maybe the meal.
So it was the Ben and Jerry's ice cream always she preferred? Or?
No, before it was Baskin and Robbins, what is it, peppermint stick flavor.
When she was young, did she ever want to become Prime Minister? Did she ever see a role for herself
My sister
in politics?
didn't even want to be a politician when she was young, leave alone Prime Minister.
And she spoke against not wanting to become Prime Minister. She spoke about it.
It was irrelevant. There were no Prime Ministers, first of all, when we were growing up, because it was under Ayub Khan. So there was always one unit or whatever, dictate, I don't know what it was. So we never thought about it as we grew up, but we'd say, I want to do this, and I want to be a teacher, and I want to be a psychiatrist, so you know that you didn't want to be a PM.
And what did she want to become?
Oh, I think later on it was diplomatic service, but before that it was probably a psychiatrist. Or
a psychiatrist? Yeah. Okay. And what was her relationship like with your father? Because we believe that you were his favorite child.
Well, parents love all their children. And I was my father's favorite, but for a totally different reason. My father always treated my sister as a young adult, I think. I remember when we were very young, as I said, I used to resent it when my mother used to go off with my father on trips abroad. My sister was in charge of the house. Of course, we had staff, we had a nanny, but it was my parents talked to my sister. They said, we want you to take care of this or do that. My father could always rely on Benazir, no matter how old she was.
And do you think that he was grooming her for politics, or was he really grooming the boys for politics?
Oh, I don't think my father groomed any of us really for politics. But I think they probably had that relationship where she could talk to him, and she was very interested, but she was in the Oxford Union and things like that. So obviously they had something in common to discuss. But I don't think he groomed any of us really.
Did he ever foresee that Benazir would perhaps, join politics after him?
Well, I think if in the earlier years he thought about it, he probably thought, because my father always encouraged women in politics, and he had encouraged like Dr. Vasi. So I think he would have thought that my sister will do, there's so much to do in Pakistan, there's so many causes and so many people you can help. So obviously he thought maybe she'll be an MNA or something like that, but only so that she can do work for people, not because of the MNA, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was to use that position to be able to work for others.
And then she went away to America. Did you ever visit her while she was there?
No, I never visited her in the States.
And what was she like as a teenager? I mean, I know at that time, 60s and the 70s, it was in to be, left wing, etc. And what was she like? What were her political beliefs at the time?
Well, I think you're right, it was very fashionable at that time to be a leftist. I think all my brothers and sisters except me, I hasten to add, were leftists. In fact, they used to tease me and they used to say, oh, if communism comes in Pakistan, you're going to be cleaning the streets, you'll be a sweeper. And I'd be like, but why can't I be a librarian or something? Why do I have to go, isn't there any other job that... But, yeah, so I think they were all a bit lefty. And
what was she like when she went to... Because she said that these were the happiest days of her life when she was at Harvard. So when she must have come home and told you all the stories about what she did at Harvard and how life was like for her?
She went when she was very, very young. First of all, she just went straight after her O-levels. She never did her A-levels. I think she did it up to September before the term started. I think they were the happiest days because if you're in... It's a different world in academic... When you've lived in a narrow society or in a narrow education and here it's like everything, there's so many things that you didn't know existed or topics so it is something that gets you excited because I remember when I went and I was like, wow, I just don't believe the syllabus. It took you days to choose. You wouldn't know which subject, So that way it's very exciting that things open up for you. There are books, there's art, there's entertainment, the things that you only maybe read about or seen pictures of, and now you're there, the real thing. So it is a very exciting, and even the whole, though Cambridge is a small place, everything is different.